the 14th anniversary of a terror attack against Jews, against the Israeli airline in the United States. How did the U.S. authorities respond to this attack in 2002, just 10 months after 9/11?
I remember it very well, and they did nothing. They swept it all under the rug and tried to deny that it was terrorism at all, and just said some Egyptian man went bonkers, he snapped, and after some pressure on his life, and he started shooting people. And I knew at the time instinctively that it was terrorism, and I saw and I have seen the American government and officials of all levels of government having such denial and trying to they say it's because we don't want to alarm the public, but really it's because they want to deny and hide the fact that terrorism exists here, so they don't look bad and get voted out of office for being ineffectual and doing nothing. They can't, as far as I'm concerned, they can't justify their existence. These governments have no moral authority left to rule, because the first job of any government, city, state, federal, is to protect the safety and security of the citizens. And if they can't do it, and they obviously cannot do it, and have no will to do it, and they end up sweeping everything under the rug and denying that it's terrorism or potentially terrorism just to cover themselves so that they shouldn't be blamed for their ineffectual and inadequate measures and policies.
What was the connection between this attack and the attack in New York against Rabbi Meir Kahane?
Well, going back to 1990, November 4th, when he was shot, November 5th when he died, 1990, it's very clear that the authorities, the FBI, which is tasked, it was before there was such a thing as the Homeland Security Department, the FBI is tasked with terrorism and with these kind of crimes, and he died, and they swept it under the rug, like I've been talking about.
Who swept it under the rug?
The government. And they found the Noser's apartment, and they found stacks and stacks of Arabic writings in boxes, in files, that had they pursued it further and not shown such callous indifference and in disdain, because he was an enemy of the Israeli government, Meir Kahane, and a feared enemy of the American government, so they just closed up shop and put it all away and said it's a lone gunman, terrorist, no conspiracy, nobody behind him, when later on we find out there was plenty behind him. The Rahman, the blind sheikh that was responsible for Saddam.
Omar Abdel Rahman?
Yeah. So they found the connection that had they looked at these boxes and translated them, they could have stopped the Twin Tower attacks of '93 and a whole host of other kind of terrorism that has been planned and executed sometimes and foiled other times. But they could have been on top of this back in 1990 rather than have 9/11 happen in 2001 because they were asleep at the wheel.
And what was the connection with this West Coast attack to that terror cell of Egyptian Islamic Jihad?
Well, I understand that the shooter here, the murderer, Hadayat, was part of the same infrastructure and the same cell of this Sheikh Rahman, and so that obviously there's an obvious connection to Al-Qaeda, obvious connection to Islamic Jihad, and there's no denying it if you look at the facts. It's only when you want to isolate everything into a lone gunman type of thing, and then every item and every incident is shuffled off as someone unconnected, unrelated event, then of course you end up with nothing that speaks of terrorism or a worldwide or nationwide attack on Jews or American citizens or any kind of planned attack, which this all obviously is. All of these events are planned and choreographed and scripted and directed by powers higher than the actual shooters and murderers.
Is this the same Omar Abdel Rahman who Mohammed Morsi, Obama, who put into place, got elected on a platform to get freed that if he was Egypt would get freed, and then the Libya attacks occurred?
Yeah, I just was made aware of this recently, that there is some connection that explains the Benghazi attack a little differently and makes more sense than the United States government at its highest level just wanted this ambassador, Chris Stevens, buried and killed for some reason to silence him from something he knew. And I understand that there was a plot, potentially this story is a plan, that they would capture him and hold him hostage, not kill him, and then part of the negotiations would be for the freedom of this Rahman.
To trade Chris Stevens for Rahman?
Right, something we're not supposed to do, obviously. Prisoner exchanges and negotiate with terrorism. This has all been long ago removed from our policies, and we started negotiation with everybody under the sun now. Anybody can kidnap anybody and have his demands met in the new climate and the new era that we live in. And it's just sickening to see how much America and Israel have slid down into danger for themselves, inviting attack because they won't stand up to terrorism and fight back appropriately.
So would you say that in the same way that the ignoring of Mayor Kahana's assassination, that the killing here at l.a.x. was also a canary in the coal mine, foreboding, warning the West to crack down on domestic terror, both against Jews and non-Jews?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ongoing unfortunate circumstance that they're placating and appeasing terror, hoping that, in the best case scenario, hoping that it'll go away. I call it ostrich Judaism, burying your head in the sand and hoping the problem will go away, negotiating with these guys, caving to making concessions to them in hopes that they'll make peace, and it's just ridiculous and absurd and obscene, because death continues to happen, and these weaklings, cowards, in my mind, deserve to be booted out of office and denigrated in their legacy that they leave behind for the leaders that they were not.